Well, thanks everyone for coming. Hey, you. Um, so I think it's important for me to give you some background information about my life a little bit, so you can understand why I create the way I do and how I use my photography to make an impact and just really heal myself. It's very important that no matter who I work with, that I use my work to make them feel good about themselves, because there's too much bad things or too many bad things happening in the world that really can shift the mental state of a person. So I am from Dallas. I born and raised. I moved around a lot. I don't want to go into too much detail, but with challenges comes like really difficult hardships, and when you're very young, that can really plague you. That can have a huge impact on your confidence as a person, especially as a woman as you grow. And honestly, for myself as a black woman, it had a huge effect on my growth. It really did. So starting out, and I love my mom dearly. She's actually the one who planted that creative seed in me. I did not have her much in my life, but angels come at different times. Okay, they really do. And with that being said, it was just this magnificent growth. I would meet people along the way that really fed into my creative abilities, but also on the top of that, they were helping me overcome a lot of the bad things happening, because where there is good, there is bad. That's just how I've learned to understand life, and that's how I keep myself protected, especially creatively. Okay, I'll go forward a little bit and then I'll back up. I love helping the youth. You'll see that a lot. I feel like the little people, the little humans, I call them, can really change this world. I had a teacher that really sparked my creative ability and helped water the seed my mom planted, and that really is ultimately what led me down the path to continue creating. I ended up at Charles C. Anderson in South Dallas, which is a great school. I met Miss Grisby, and I'll always give my kudos to her and my love to her, because she sat with me and worked with me on my portfolio for a very long time to help me get into Booker T. Okay. Now, when I was there, the hardships did not stop. They did not stop, but that's where you have vessels in your life. Now, this is what I'm about to tell you. This story is very important to this image. Okay. So while I was at Booker T, it was a great school, but I didn't have the nice environment to create in, to really give it my all. We had to do summer projects, and I could not keep up with that, so my grades suffered just a little bit. Not enough to get kicked out of the school, but just not enough where colleges were paying attention. Okay. Honestly, I didn't even think about going to school. That just wasn't on my mind. But once again, we have those vessels. So junior year and senior year, I would say me and a lot of my peers matured a lot. A lot of life things happened that really made us grow up really fast and see the world for what it really truly is. And you have to be aware and open and understand yourself and your history to really navigate this world, because it's crazy out there, and the stuff that I read is very traumatizing, but that's where the creativity comes in. So when I was near graduation at Booker T, Eva Kuchai, who was a phenomenal teacher at Booker T, she is no longer with us. Ms. Redmond, I had an in-law family member who all really vouched for me, because all of the schools I applied to, I got rejected from. One of them being TWU, okay? They sent that rejection letter, and it was quite sad. I think the only school that I had gotten into was College for Creative Studies in Detroit, but I didn't have that foundation, so Eva advised me to stay here. She's phenomenal. She actually taught me how to save, So I wrote a letter, just a heartfelt letter from the core of my soul, because I really love to resonate with people and let them understand who I am, where I come from, and why I do what I do. Eva wrote a letter, and Ms. Redmond, the in-law family member, we sent it off to TWU, and 2 weeks later they sent me my letter, hey, Walker, I promised to keep my grades up, and I did. I graduated with honors from that school because I worked really hard. But when I was at TWU, when I was at Booker T, I was still dealing with a lot of things. And even though I had the light inside of me, there were entities and sources outside of the safe family that I had formed and I had gathered over the years, who were really trying to break me. You know, it's one thing that I've learned in life I've learned a few things in life, to go where the love is and to give attention to that, and to never try to prove your worth or your value to anyone. You know, you're really all you need deep down inside, because when you understand who you are and you love yourself, you'll attach to the good people who really believe in you. So during that time, there was just a lot of things happening that almost broke me. And I was taking Susan's class, and that's when I got into the dark room. And I started to experiment because I was a graphic design major there. I would spend hours in the lab just working. But I was able to create this image and more images that go along with this body of work. Just hear me out, because I would say in between 2011 to 2012, like, just felt like death, you know? It felt like death. I was broken really, really bad. And even though today I still feel the pain from that year, I'm just happy that I'm standing here, because they really could have broke me, you know? And Just Hear Me Out came about because I was just trying to get people to understand, to listen to me, to hear my voice, to understand, like, I meant well, but people who mean, like, ill of you and don't have good intentions don't care what you have to say. So in order to challenge that negative energy, I decided to put positive energy inside of my work and create something that I would be able to look back on, which I'm here right now, and I'm able to look back on this picture and say that I'm truly proud of myself. I really am. I am proud because I didn't let those situations overtake me, and I was able to continue pushing forward to become the artist that I am today. And it's crazy how the universe works. I didn't know that I was going to be a photographic artist, but I knew that I loved documenting the world around me and touching, you know, the hearts with my work, showing the light in people and finding those who really just have stories that need to be heard. I would say that honestly, within the last 5 years, I've worked with over 300 people. I've met a lot of great people out there who all have stories, who are going through things, but they're standing tall. So every time I think back to Just Hear Me Out, I know that everything will be fine. I actually created this on film, and if you notice, there are some flaws left, because I just feel like you should embrace your flaws, and you should honestly communicate with yourself first, above all. There are other images that look extremely depressing, but it was a great need for me, you know. Art can be very reflective, and it can really help heal you. This is one of my favorite images, you know, and it means a lot to me, more than a lot of them, you know. It really, really does, and I'll never forget this year, because it really made me a stronger person. Now, just when you think about how much you can overcome and the strength inside of you, you can really take off and do things that are very unique and amazing to the people that are in your circle. With this body of work, it kind of helped me understand the idea of a series too, like producing large bodies of work, but then like just really sitting down, making sure that you have a focus and you can plan it out. So this is a very difficult image to produce as well, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing in the dark room. But Susan came in. She was very helpful. Developing film was, that stuff takes so long, but it's beautiful. You know, it does. It's beautiful, and it's very a reflective type of good time to meditate. And I don't know. It just makes me think about the time when I was in my dorm room, because I was in my dorm room at TWU here. And typography was the thing that we played around with, of course, in our graphic design classes. So why not communicate with self? I did this alone, no one else was there, took it myself, and this was actually one of the images that helped heal me before I went on to work with a great group of kids at Frenchwood's Festival in New York. I went off after graduation, and I was like isolated in nature. So you mentioned like nature and how meditative, like it's great to hear the sound. So we were with these kids. They could not have their cell phones at all. At the first 3 days, they went crazy. I'm just gonna be honest, it was very stressful. That's probably why I have gray hair now. I think that is why I started getting very really early. But after 3 days, we forgot as their teachers about cell phones and computers. They did, and we were really truly able to engage. So this image series combined with me giving back to the community, working with the children, really helped heal me. And you can see me doing that now in my work. Many of the projects that I've worked on, for example, the self-publication is a photographic book series I decided to put together on my own because I was seeing some of my friends and family members who had been affected by internal things that are happening in my community, which I love my community very much, and I always create from an internal gaze, but like colorism and things that should not have really plagued them because they're such beautiful people. So I created that series to really uplift them and to show them how beautiful they were through my portrait work. The Beauty of South Dallas is another one. I met Ms. Grisby in South Dallas, and that really changed my life. So my goal was to, work along with the Cultural Center to truly make not only work that documents the community, but highlights the people there. That also is what brings me to the SMART project, because when I was younger and I had Ms. Grisby to help me get into Booker T, but some of my friends didn't have that Ms. Grisby. So with that work, I just go back into the community and provide creative art lessons to the kids. My goal is to continue as I grow as an artist throughout life, as I get older, because I feel like with age comes more wisdom. I actually think it's beautiful to age because you learn so much and you can pass that information down to really help uplift this world. It's our choice to decide what we want to do with what we learn. Do you want to be one of those bad people that will break someone, or do you want to be on the good side that can really help change history? So with that being said, thank you, Susan, for being there to help me, produce this. I want to thank Ms. Grisby, my mom, everyone who has supported me, my friends, you too. Thank you for coming. And I'll continue making work like this, but just hear me out is about the pain that I was able to overcome back in 2011.
Nitashia, that was wonderful. I know it was painful, but when I asked her to be part of the show, I had seen her, later works, and there are beautiful portraits of people, and she just said, "I want to show this," and then I'm just going, okay, and then she had all these ideas about showing it, and then I said, well, let's just do this, because you were gonna offer the negative and everything, and I was just going, no, don't offer the negative. But it was so special that she started telling the story on the phone, and I was just like, oh, it's almost in tears. But it was, it's about art. It's a process. It's often a very emotional process, and so I'm so glad to have a piece here.
Yeah, thanks. What a year. Man, what a year that was. But yeah,
any questions?
I just want to say, Nitashia, one of the things as an educator that has driven my whole passion all my life is knowing that art changes lives. Mm-hmm. And to watch you go through that journey was the most amazing gift to all of us that were with you on it. And what you've done since then, to me, is just such a gift to the community. And I was wondering if you would talk a little bit more about the projects. I know you have several projects that you're doing with kids and the community, and I'd love to have you share that with us.
I love him. Oh my gosh. If you see this little, it's washing off now. I'll talk about that, but I have to remember to bring one of my kiddos a small portfolio, because she wants to show her work. She's really great. But first of all, I want to say thank you, because I remember you calling me into your office, and no, it wasn't in a bad way, but you just wanted to check on me because the work was heavy, and I really appreciate that, because so often in time, especially with the advancement of technology, we kind of forget to check on each other, and you need to check on each other. Life is more than just what the next step is going to be, but it's about who's around you, who cares about you. So I wanted to say thank you for that. As far as the projects with the kiddos, just to talk about that and highlight that, mainly just thinking about the SMART project, right? So I knew that I wanted to do something surrounding like youth education when I was a kid myself. I was like, this is great. These teachers are changing my life, you know? And it feels so good to have someone that supports you, especially with my background and my story, you know? If we have time to talk over coffee, I will go into detail right now. You know? But we went through a lot of stuff, you know? So being able to have that support and that help, and then to, you know, become an adult or grow into an adult, I'm an adult, and help kids, is really fascinating. The SMART project, so when I actually worked in mortgage before I went to RISD. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. I hate working in mortgage, but whatever, it's not bad. It got me where I needed to be to save up. But when I went to RISD, I worked with kids at Kirby McCabe Elementary, Mount Hope High School, and Hope High School. And these kids they reminded me of myself because they had gone through stuff, but they were great kids, man. And I think sometimes the world can stereotype or be judgmental or demonize certain groups of kids, and that's just not cool. But no matter where they were, I noticed that with all of these children, no matter if they were a bit more well off or they did not have, they were all deserving of respect. You know, you just respect the youth. And with that being said, those kids really inspired me. They kind of brought back that light that Ms. Grisby helped keep on. I was like, wow, you know, I need to go back home and do a program that will uplift the students. If you don't know what Project Open Door is, it's a great program that my previous professor, Dr. Sproul, had ran. It was helping students who were I like to say students who are like deserving, and I want to thank you for that. I really do, because the kids do deserve them. They're beautiful kids. But, you know, those kids really inspired me. First of all, they were class clowns. Some of them were picking on me because I was a class clown. And, but they were some of the coolest kids, and they inspired me, not the other way around, you know? So when I came back home, I was like, well, I don't have many resources, but I'm going to take my creative abilities, my creative work, and make this happen. And we're still tiny. It's a tiny group, you know, that we have, but just seeing like Mackenzie and Mars come through the door, it just makes me so happy. And right now they're working on like contrast drawings, and these kids are really good. Like, you know, they're good at what they do. But when I create, like if I'm working on projects like the Beauty of South Dallas, the self-publication, or if I'm out doing photojournalism, because I meet a lot of people through the news outlets that I work with, and I connect with lots of people with different stories. I bring that all back to them, like using that wisdom to make sure they understand how important they are, because they're going to need that support in the next few years. So that's what I'm currently doing with the kiddos.
You can look at her website.
Mm-hmm.
What is your website address? Because that'll show you the bodies of work that she's been working on. Right?
Yeah, so it's NitashiaJohnson.com. And then
the name is spelled
it's
Nita.
You get it. It's a long story.
I misspell it all the time.
It's Nitashia. Yeah, but on the note of this, I don't know what happened, but I think my dad was in love with this actress and was like, I like that name, and then that's probably why they switched. But I don't know. But I have like cards with me, so if you want to scan it, you can kind of see the work that I'm doing with the kiddos, or the work with the Beauty of South Dallas and the self-publication stuff. But yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Now,
Take a question?
Yep.
Okay. First off, thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks.
You deserve all the praise and all the
Aw.
praise, really.
I appreciate you.
Yeah,
a lot.
absolutely. 2 questions. Particularly, why did you choose "Just Hear Me Out"?
Mhm.
You know, because that's a phrase that I understood when, you know, it's like that thing you say to a friend.
Mhm.
It's like the love, just hear me out, like, you know, that sort of thing. So I want to know particularly why that specific choice of words in order to embody this sort of entire project.
Okay.
And the second question is, while you were going through your hardships, was there a particular phrase that you tell yourself, right? Because I feel like a lot of times we're hoping for this big turnaround to sort of shift our our scope and our perspective, but it's really the little things that sort of we tell ourselves day in and day out that sort of just make us, all right, let me just go a little bit further.
Mhm.
So if there was anything that you just sort of motivated yourself in that sort of fashion.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So I won't forget, I'll say this really quick because I know. So just hear me out. So when I thought about like this statement, the goal was to, and I know I wasn't going to show the people that were hurting me. It was kind of like my way of communicating that to them. But honestly, we think about, when you're in a car and you think about things you want to say, like, I would have said this, or I would have, you know that you probably wouldn't have at that time. But more so, it was like my way of saying that I was communicating that to them. But honestly, with our intuition, we know that we need to speak to ourselves first. You know what I mean? It's like, just hear me out. It's like, listen, it was really a statement from me, something that I needed to understand and to listen to myself on when to let go of people who didn't serve me. You know what I mean? It's kind of like this thing like, oh, like, yeah, just hear me out. Like, you're talking to someone else, but if it's not working, it's not working. I don't care if it's like a family member or significant other or even a business relationship or just a group of friends. You have to be honest with yourself when people are not serving you or if they're doing more damage than good in your life, because we don't have time. Life is too fleeting. And then as far as you said a statement that, like, after the second question on
Like a phrase that you tell yourself, like if you get up in the morning, like, oh, let's get this money or something. Something.
Okay, so when I was hearing, because I heard a lot of negative things in my life, and I'm like, who could say that to a kid? Or who could say that to a person to try to stop their creative passion? I would always say, you know what? I have to keep pushing myself, and I say this today, because 5 years from now, what they said won't matter, and if I let it affect me 5 years from now, then that's a problem. So it just didn't matter. It just didn't matter. It doesn't matter what they did or said, because it didn't break me.
So just keep pushing.
Yeah, you have to keep pushing, and it works. And I want the kids to always know that too.
Wonderful.